are you going to be more physically attractive at 41 as compared to now at 21, all else being equal?
No, at 41 I would not be.
Okay, so you think you'll peak early 30s, basically, looks-wise.
Right, yes.
All else being equal.
Yes.
Okay. Huh, okay.
Well,
You had something, Andrew?
I did. So, do you think that attractiveness between men and women is tied to fertility? Do you think that would be a good reason for why men would find younger women to be attractive, is because younger women have high fertility?
I think that that's part of it, yes.
not in all
What-
cases.
Really? What would be the other case? Besides a fetish?
Well, that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
Real quick.
so that's like
Lack of
if you're
mental
if you're gonna
maturity.
introduce like lunacy to it, like fetishes or something like this, sure. But generally speaking,
Wait, can you say the question again, like simplified again? Sorry.
yeah. So don't you think that what is considered attractive between men and women would often be tied to fertility?
I mean, there's that argument for sure, but when I ask my father about it, he tells me that he bases it on a woman's relationship with God, her spirituality, as well as her intelligence, because he needs to be able to trust that woman to raise children with him.
Well, I wish your dad was
And-
sitting where you are, because
Well-
if I said the woman had all of those things, but all things being equal, you had to pick between one who was a 4 and one who was a 10, and both of them had all those same qualities, which would you pick? Your dad would say the 10.
Well, he said circumstantially. It depends on what that woman is capable of doing and what
I just said they have the exact same values, just one's
Well, then
hotter
I
than
guess
the other.
Well,
maybe.
would you pick
guess,
a
but that's not what
20-year-old
I'm
10
talking
over your
about.
wife?
No, of course not.
Okay, why?
Because of the value distinction.
Okay, well, I think that's
Yeah,
what she's
but yeah,
pointing at.
I'm not actually-
That literally makes no sense what you just said. My question to her was, they have the same values. You say, what about the distinction of values? It makes no sense to my question. The
Okay,
values are
great.
identical.
If the values are identical, maybe a man would prefer the one who's more attractive, who has the exact same values.
And why would they
But,
prefer the one who's more attractive?
I mean, I'm not a man that I should answer that.
Oh, okay.
All I'm saying is that
Wait. Why would you have to be a man in order
because
to
I don't
answer that?
Because it's circumstantial. Like I said,
It's not circumstantial. The human
Can I
race must
finish what I'm
survive,
saying?
right?
Can I finish what I'm saying, sir, please?
Well, I
What
mean,
I'm-
can you make it quick? Can you make it snappy?
Well, I could have been done
Can
if
you
you
stop
didn't
being so
interject me.
no, I
condescending?
can't. So anyway, can you make it
What
quick?
I'm saying is, like I said, I've asked my father the same questions, and what he
Mm-hmm.
delineates to me is that it's circumstantial based on what he's compatible with that woman, what she's capable to do with him in a relationship, in raising children, having a home, having a relationship with God, and things like that. It's not just on attraction alone, and he would take someone.
I know,
who's-
we know this, but I don't understand why you're incapable of engaging with this. You don't
I'm
have
just-
to be a man in order to engage with the idea that, of course, men are going to be attracted to women who are more fertile.
But
and
I-
on top of that, I gave you the equation of same value structure that your dad would like. Woman who's 4 has it, woman who's 10 has it. You say he'll pick the woman who's 10. I say,
I said
great,
he might
if you'll
pick
pick
the
the woman
one
who's
who's more
10, why? You go, I'm not qualified to answer that. That's crazy.
Well,
you
I'm
think-
saying that you said, okay, I said that if the attraction was 10 and 4, maybe he might pick the one who's a 10.
Why?
If they have the same values.
Why?
Because maybe he might be whatever. But
Well,
you
no,
just
not whatever.
equated
The
it to
whatever is the
fertility,
question.
and that's not what I
no,
initially
The
said.
whatever
What I
is
said
the
had nothing
question.
to do with fertility.
The whatever is the question.
Because of our biological wiring.
Right. So the question is the whatever part. Why would he be attracted to the 10 over the 4, even if they have the same values, other than because
I can't answer that for him because he doesn't answer questions like that.
Do you have
Like,
daughters?
he literally doesn't answer
Yes.
questions like that.
Do you value
Like-
them and love them based on how physically beautiful they are?
No, of course not.
Why?
Because I'm looking at the value structure of the human
Okay.
being.
So, do you think God judges and values the women, his daughters, based on 1 through 10 of how they look?
No.
No. And what does it say in the Bible about
What
judging
does
a
that have
woman?
to do with what
Judging
makes a
woman.
man hard, lady? What does that have to do with what makes a man go up? What God values in a woman
Very
or a
close.
child, or what you value
So you're
in a
talking
woman?
about sin and lust.
No, I'm
That's what you're
talking about
about.
physical attractiveness.
Okay, that's what you're talking
Okay,
about.
No, I'm talking about physical attractiveness. You do realize in order to have a baby, you have to have sex?
Yes, I know, but
Oh,
it also
great!
says
You
in
know
the
that.
Bible,
That's crazy.
and you're supposed to be a Christian
Does
to judge a woman
is
based
a
on their
penis
heart.
required to be hard for
Okay.
you to have sex? Would that require an attractiveness level so that
But-
get hard to have the baby?
But
How many drinks have you had
you
tonight?
sure are
I wanna
pretty,
know.
Andrew, have
degrading
you
to
been-
the
you've been
woman.
drinking?
I don't think.
I really hope the
crazy.
future your
How many
future
drinks have you
son-in-law.
had, Andrew?
I really
Not
hope
enough.
your future son-in-laws
pretty-
don't treat your daughters the way you treat and think about women.
I'm pretty sure.
How do I think about
Christian
women?
Fathers
Wait,
are
wait, wait.
teaching
No,
their
no, back
daughters
up,
to be
back up.
Virtuous women of Proverbs 31.
Can you help
Like,
me
they're
out?
not being
How do I think about women? By saying that there's going to be a physical metric for attractiveness, how is it that I'm in any way deviating from any type of Christian virtue? Tell me.
I mean, you
the
never.
way you're talking about women the way you're talking
You're
about
talking
how
about fertility being the standpoint
a
rather
woman's
than Proverbs
value-
For
31.
attractiveness,
Right?
yes.
Yeah, but
Right.
Proverbs 31 mentions a whole list of things as opposed to simply just fertility. So God says, and a man wrote
We're
that.
strictly talking
So-
about physical attractiveness, and that's it.
But that's not what men decide.
Men
at least my
shouldn't be
father
choosing
never
That
told me
is-
that that's all that he makes the decision
I'm
on when
not
he's talking about a woman.
I think what he's saying
So-
is
Oh my
that
God,
say that
this
there are
is
two
absurd.
women that both fulfill the Proverbs 31 things, but one is less physically attractive and one is more physically attractive. Which would the man go with? Say he wasn't married or
I
anything.
can't say that he'd pick
just
the 10 because
neutrally
I don't know what
looking.
the 10 looks like, and I
Okay,
don't know what
fine.
the 4 looks like.
Yeah,
I don't know what the
okay,
preference is.
fine.
The 10
Yeah,
could be a 4
I know
and a 4
physical
could be a 10.
attraction
Talk to
means
someone
nothing.
ungodly like me.
We're not
Physical
saying it means
attraction means nothing.
nothing. We're
All
not
that
saying it means
matters
nothing.
is what the virtues are. We all go get 9,000-pound you know what I mean? It's just crazy. We're talking specifically about physical attraction. Of course, it's going to be tied to fertility. Of course, it's going to be tied to fertility. Why wouldn't it be?
You're asking me to think like a man. and I
No, I'm
don't.
not. I'm
You're
asking
me what
females
kind
are
of,
highly competitive with other women
no,
when
but
it comes
that
to
doesn't
mate
mean
selection.
that I know what a man's going to prefer mentally, and you're asking me to answer a question like a man. What one would a man prefer? How would I know that?
Do you
I'm
have
a
to
female.
compete? Do you have to compete with other females for virtuous men?
Maybe, but I'm
Yeah,
a
maybe.
female.
So how
I think like
how
a woman.
and how would you
I
compete?
only know what a man
how
wants
would you
because my
compete with
father
other
told
women?
me.
How would you compete with other women for a virtuous man?
I would ask my father what a man would want.
And
if
what do
I'm
you think your
interested in
father would say?
somebody.
Do you think your father would say, "Well, looking like shit would be the best thing you could do"?
No, that's obviously
No,
you have to take care of
obviously
yourself,
not.
But that doesn't mean that. All I'm saying is it's not like the only thing. But you can't
I'm
sit
not
here and
saying-
ask
nobody
a group
said
of
it's the
women
only thing.
how
Nobody
a
said
man
that.
thinks is the best thing. You're not gonna get that response out of them. There's a group of women, like they're not gonna be thinking
Like women don't compete with each other.
But they
How-
do not think
do you
like
think
men.
that we
Okay,
don't
but
know
what's
this?
your
to
what's
think
your
like
point?
men.
Because I agree with your argument. Okay, fertility plays a part in sexual attractiveness. Whatever. What's the point?
The whole point of this was just to state that, yes, we understand that there's virtues that men are after. Of course, that's true. There's virtues that women should be after, but nowadays it seems like less and less. But men, I think, are attracted to virtue. I think that is a big role.
Really?
But if we were to take...
Have you seen the rise of OnlyFans?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But if we were to take virtue...
women.
If we were to take virtue
We're the
out...
slutty ones.
If we were to take virtue out of the equation and just look at the pure physical and just look at physical attractiveness, we're not looking at all the virtues, this and that, just whatever is aesthetically pleasing. That's all we're talking about, physical attractiveness.
I mean,
Nothing
at
more.
the end of the day, like any human being is going to value aesthetics. You're gonna choose
course.
the better looking car.
That's
The car
hilarious.
might have the same engines. It might do the same exact thing. But are you gonna choose the one that's all scratched up, or are you gonna choose the brand new shiny one? At
Right.
the end of the day, you want a pretty rock over a cracked up one. So if you're asking that, like, it's just human nature to like something.
Well, this
that's
is why
visually
I think when this
pleasing.
question is asked of women in particular,
Mm-hmm.
when they refuse to give a rating, it's because they don't want to be honest. And so what they do is they reframe every way that they can. But what about this quality, that quality, that quality? And it's like, look, we're just talking about physical attractiveness in and of itself. I understand there's other qualities. And maybe even combining those with physical attraction may raise it a point, lower it a point. But I think people still, when it comes to physical attractiveness, it's still tied to fertility. That's why men are attracted to younger women. Why wouldn't that be the case? It makes complete sense. So I don't understand why women are incapable of rating themselves unless they just don't want to give the answer they
because
really
it's a
think.
matter of what do the men perceive as beautiful or attractive, and that can vary from man to man. And then like Keisha was saying, you're asking us to kind of think along
I don't
the
think
lines of
women
a
are
man.
ignorant to this.
I think that women have a different probably standard for what they think is beautiful and
Exactly.
It's less
attractive
based on
versus
fertility
men.
and more on
Like I think that women would
Your skin,
women
your
would probably
clothing.
judge
Yeah, but you would
aesthetics,
still,
and maybe
but you would
men
still
might
be
judge
looking at
She would be-
fertility signs.
you would have to
woman
look at
would
the
be an
standard on
idiot
both
to
edges,
try and
right?
think like a
So for you to
man.
perceive the beauty of women, there's no way for you to say that you wouldn't be influenced on how men perceive women. I don't see how
Yes,
that's.
I would be
Yeah, of course you
influenced.
would. So I don't think women are ignorant of this. I
But
don't
it's
think.
not all encompassing.
Asking a woman to
There's a lot
delineate
of-
that
I'm not saying
information
it's all
is asking her to
encompassing.
behave like a
I'm
feminist.
just saying that
and
I
that's
think
not-
most women.
Right.
You're
I
asking
think
her to be
that-
a feminist right
I'm
now.
not asking her to be a
yes,
feminist.
because asking her to delineate the information
asking
that
us
a
to
man
think
would
like
tell
men.
a woman is asking her to be a feminist and think like a feminist. A woman is not going to
No,
assess
feminism
herself.
doesn't mean can't
A woman
think.
is not going to
That's
assess
not what it
herself
means.
the way that a man assesses a
Didn't
woman.
ask him to.
You just asked her.
No, I
how
asked
would a
her to
man-
rate herself based on what she thinks.
Okay, then.
That would be the opposite of what I'm
But you
asking her
mentioned a
what
man-
men
but
think. I'm
a
saying
man-
that men have standards.
Okay.
Yes, we know men have standards because
but they're
men
not
have
gonna-
because men have standards. That is going to inform your opinion on
fine.
how you rate yourself
But they're not going to think of it the way that a man would. So you asking her to rate herself she's
based
gonna
on
think of
what
it-
she thinks.
Okay, herself. That's different than to what a man.
Yes,
would
I
think.
know, which is why we asked her that.
I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, like at the end of the day.
Right, it is.
So you can say you're a 10, you can say you're a 1. It doesn't really matter because everybody has a different view on it. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So the question that you're asking is, it just doesn't matter
Like,
in our minds.
Yeah, women,
one,
it does
one
not
guy
matter.
could rate a girl as a 7, and another guy could rate her as an 8, and another guy could rate her as a 2, and another guy could rate her as a 9, and it depends on what that guy finds attractive.
But wasn't it asking what we thought of ourselves?
yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's to
Yeah,
gauge,
but then for him to say that it's not realistic in the eyes of men. So the point
No,
is
I'm
going to
just
come
saying
back.
I
that
think
your
it's to try to
self-assessment will
show-
be informed also by men. That's the point.
And I think it also shows, are you affected by delusion?
Yes.
Yes.
To just pretend it does not exist and that I can't
Well, no one
rate-
said
I
it
don't
didn't
know.
exist.
I don't know.
That's not the
No,
the
no, no.
point.
But like
yeah.
when people hyper conflate their looks, well, then they would also expect to make possibly match with somebody who they think are their equivalent. But if you're honest with yourself, then you're going to match yourself and not have this hyper conflated idea of what you're going to go after.
That's understandable. I agree with
So
that.
that's why they're trying to just gauge a sense of delusion.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But there was a mention of a man's perspective, and that's all that I said was not possible.
The mention of a man's perspective was to say how you end up ultimately determining what your value is 1 through 10, and it's arbitrary. Nobody says it's not. Is at least somewhat going to be informed and how the opposite sex perceives you and what you've witnessed the opposite sex considering to be attractive or unattractive. That's what's going to be true because that's how information in your brain works.
Internalized
learned
male
that from your
gaze,
father,
as
so.
said by someone on the right.
No, that's not an internalized.
Ah, yeah, it is. You just argued that
No.
we look at ourselves through the male
I'm
gaze.
saying that we look at. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You
I
said, how do
that
you know
it
you're attractive if you don't
I
use
said
the
it
men's
can assist you in
things.
making an informed
Okay, it can
self-assessment.
assist me,
Right.
so
But
is
the
there.
same would be true the opposite way. So is that informed female gaze?
Yeah.
Okay, so
There's
then,
a female gaze, too.
Okay, so then if that's the case, then we're talking about nothing. We're just talking about objective reality.
I know, but some people argue that the male gaze doesn't exist. So
Well, it depends on how you're defining
women have
it.
an internalized
If you just
man
define
inside
what
of
the
them.
male gaze
you
is
have
as,
concurred with me that women
if
have an
you're just-
internalized perception of what men think.
well,
of
it's
them.
going to help inform it. There's
That-
no way around it.
You know, earlier when you asked me what disadvantages me when I'm born a woman, that.
Okay, but
Instantaneously, I have to wake up in the morning and do my
then
makeup
why
and get pretty.
did you just say men?
Because I have an internalized
You just
man
said that
inside of
men
me.
suffer from the same thing, which means that again, you just negated your
Yeah,
own point.
but the one for men value fertility much higher than women do. Do you
So
see
what?
men doing their makeup
No,
in the
they
morning
don't.
so they look more fertile?
Women-
Yeah.
no,
women
they
do
don't.
because the internalized male gaze is way stronger than the
How
internalized
can
female
you?
gaze.
Let's prove it.
I just did.
How?
Women do makeup, women dress way nicer, women do their
And
nails.
men wear nice
women-
clothes, and they try to get high status, and they try to get tons and tons of money, and they try to do all those
but
things.
that's the female gaze is money, and there are so many.
what?
because
So
of
I
the-
don't understand
hey,
how
listen
it's
to
not
this, Listen to
moot.
this. Because of the feminist movement these days, women will go for ugly broke men, but men are not going for ugly women. Obviously, they're
What women are
internalized
going
male
for
gaze.
ugly broke men? What women are out there going for ugly broke men? Almost none.
The ones with no dads.
That's not what the stat, like you, so you go for ugly broke men?
For real, yeah. My ex, yeah. I'm not ashamedly, but my point was, as someone on the right, you admit that women have a male gaze inside of them. They can see how men.
Yeah, what I'm
view
saying is
them,
that
and they internalize the
every
patriarchy.
human being,
and that internalization is already a negative effect.
What I'm
on
saying
my
is that
day-to-day
every
life.
human being who exists, regardless of where they're at in the world, if there's other human beings who are around them, it's going to inform their opinion of themselves and their opinion of the
Yeah, true.
surrounding
But one of them is the
environments.
full standards of the male gender. That's
But that would be true the opposite way too, which would make you a misandrist.
No, it is true the opposite way, but I'm
Then
saying that
you're
the
a
male
misandrist.
standards are so much higher than the female standards.
Why, prove that.
I will-
You didn't
I
that's
will
where
say-
you deviate. Where's the proof for that claim?
Okay.
I will say
Okay,
that
maybe
a
it's
lot
fake.
of male
That's my
Well, no,
opinion.
no. Where's the proof to that claim?
I'd like to
will
hear her
s-
speak.
I will say that a lot of male standards are very looks based because the fertility importance is much higher in women, because they're the ones that are carrying a child. And so when that sort of standard lapses as they get older and everything, then it's like, okay, my value just boom. But men
Because
can
it
have,
does go boom.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and for men it
sure.
What
For
does
men,
looks
it,
have
for
to
men
do
it
with
doesn't
fertility?
because
Yeah, but it's a trade-off because in
Actual
younger
biological
ages for
fertility.
men,
Oh, right, they
it's
don't have as
often,
much
yeah, they don't have
finances.
as much power
Right.
in order to attract their mate. So it's a trade-off both ways. So to say that it's more keen in one than the other, you'd have to demonstrate that to me.
it's just I think
Okay,
it's
and you have to demonstrate it to me the opposite
But
way. You'd
I
have
think
to
it is more
falsify it.
confining when it's
I
just
don't.
physical.
I wouldn't.
Just
I,
talking
I
each
actually
other
wouldn't.
with their
I wouldn't
opinions.
need.
So you don't
I
stop
wouldn't
asking
need
me
to
for
falsify it. I would just negate it.
Do you think that men only pick women to be with or marry based on how high they are on that 1 through 10 numbering system?
No.
No, but
So
they go
then
for that higher number if they could.
why is that so important in this topic?
Because I suspect that men who enter into matrimony with a woman want to have children, and in order to do that, they have to be able to perform in the bedroom, and in order to do that, they have to have some semblance of attraction to the person they're having sex with. Do you
Okay.
agree or disagree?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.